You think you know Azeroth. You've run every dungeon and explored every zone, but there are places in classic WoW that feel different. Places with no quests and no mention in the lore, so there's no apparent reason for them to exist. It's like Blizzard built them, then quietly backed away. We'll discover a nightclub buried inside a dungeon, or a troll extravaganza. Even a crypt filled with drowned corpses chained to the ceiling. You've probably explored some of them. Others, you were never supposed to see. But ever since you saw them, you can't unsee them. These are some of the places Blizzard forgot or tried to hide. Everyone remembers the Great Lift, the gateway from the Barrens into the Thousand Needles, but there's a camp above it that almost nobody remembers. If you use careful terrain jumping west of the lift, or even use a well-placed slow fall, you'll discover a Tauren campsite. It has tents, totems, torches, a campfire, but nothing else. No quests send you here. No NPCs interact with you. The Grim Totem guards below never mention it. It's just a fully placed outpost in a spot you're never sent to. And lore-wise, there's no Tauren tribe meant to be living up here. The Grim Totem have no lore about cliff settlements. This isn't even a staging point. It's a ghost camp. Some believe it was a planned quest hub for a Grim Totem subplot, then cut late in development. Others think it was meant to hint at secret paths into Thousand Needles from Feralis or Stone Talon. Either way, it's a piece of the world that exists outside of the story. You fight through lava, dark iron goons, and angry fire elementals. Then, deep inside Black Rock depths, you walk into a party? The Grim Guzzler is a full tavern inside one of the most popular dungeons in classic World of Warcraft. There's music, bartenders, and you see dwarves dancing. A bouncer and even a band, Plugger Spazring and his crew, playing a looped concert? Why is this bar even here? Blackrock Depths is the seat of the Dark Iron Dwarves' power. Their emperor lives just a few halls away, but somehow there's a neutral zone here. Hostile enemies walk past it without interfering. Even if you're killing their boss 5 rooms over, these guys just keep partying. Lore offers no real explanation. Plugger Spazring has no faction, no quest. He's just a guy who loves beer. This bar isn't broken. It's one of the most well-built rooms in the dungeon, but it breaks immersion in the best way. It's almost like a joke the developers left in. What if deep inside this fortress of evil was a nightclub? The Grim Guzzler is fun. It's detailed, but in the middle of a dungeon, it absolutely should not be here. Or should it? Let me know what you think. Between Stormwind and Goldshire sits a quiet little house. Tucked away behind a hill, it's easy to miss. But if you enter it, you'll meet one of the most unsettlingly normal people in classic WoW. Her name is Donnie Anthenia, but you'll know her by her title, Crazy Cat Lady, and she's holding a cleaver. Her home is full of neutral cat critters, Bombays, tabby cats, silver cats, wandering freely around her tables and walls. She sells 4 different pet cat carriers to players. And while that seems wholesome, it's actually not. She doesn't speak or give quests. There's no lore about her. She just sells pet cats and silently stares at you with dead eyes while you browse her inventory. She's not part of Stormwind's guard, nobility, or any family line. No one in town mentions her, and it seems there's no backstory. And then there's the cleaver. She just holds it, standing silently in a room of cats. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? According to Wowpedia, Donnie Anthania is named after Donna Anthony, a World of Warcraft community manager, known to players by the handle Katricia. She was known for loving cats and used a feline avatar on Blizzard forums during WoW's beta. Developers decided to immortalize her in-game, but gave her a cleaver and surrounded her with 30 cats, which, let's be honest, is probably how she wanted it. It's a calm, perfect, static horror scene in the middle of Elwyn Forest. The wetlands are full of swamps, crocolisk's, and angry dwarves. But if you scale the cliffs southwest of Menethil Harbor, you'll find a farm, a whole working farm, sitting up there in total isolation. It's built like any normal Alliance village. Dwarven-style homes with fenced fields, a pond with a waterfall, and even a signpost pointing to this way, that way and the other way. So what's the problem? This place doesn't show up on the map. No roads lead to it. There were no quests, no lore mentions a farming community in the wetlands highlands, and the only way to reach it in Classic is to jump down from the Ironforge airfield using slowfall or path glitches. But the airfield is a story for another video. Even stranger, there are NPCs here. Dwarven guards, farmers, and cows. They act like everything's normal. Lore-wise, the wetlands are under threat. The area is full of dangers, but apparently up in the cliffs, a group of dwarves is just planting wheat and chilling. There's even a tunnel on the edge of the zone that leads nowhere, a dead end into the hillside. Maybe it was meant to connect to another zone. Maybe this whole farm was planned for something, and then forgotten. Either way, it's peaceful, built, and completely unacknowledged by the rest of the game. And that's what makes it so weird. This place is beautiful. It has straw huts, tiki torches, a central bonfire with dancing trolls, and a hidden cave with ancient troll tablets. You can't reach it by foot through normal means, but by wall jumping or swimming the fatigue waters, you'll eventually land in this secluded, fully designed village. The trolls here are named Shatterspear, and they're not just background flavor, they're real mobs. They even have a bit of tribal structure, warriors, witch doctors, and drummers. And yet, they're not in any quests in Classic. No night elf mentions them. No horde mentions them. They're totally disconnected from the game's story. Even worse, or let's face it, maybe even better, in the center of their camp is a Tauren's head on a pike staring down at the dancing circle. It feels almost sacrificial. What were they doing here? Nobody knows. This wasn't just terrain decoration. It was a whole microculture left behind. In Cataclysm, Blizzard would return to wipe them out. But in Classic, it's a secret tribe, partying in the mountains, as if waiting for a story that never arrived. Everyone obviously knows Ironforge. It's one of the safest cities in the game, but beneath the throne room, locked behind massive doors, is a silent tomb. Welcome to Old Ironforge, also known as the Hall of Thanes. In vanilla, the doors under the throne are sealed, but players found ways in through glitching or wall clipping. And what they found is stunning. A giant magma pit, bridges leading to nowhere, massive stone hallways, empty crypts and statues, and absolute silence. There are no NPCs. Lore would later explain that this is where dwarven kings are entombed, that Magni Bronzebeard himself would be petrified here in the future. But in Classic, none of that exists yet. It's just an abandoned royal tomb, left open for anyone sneaky enough to fall into it, and it raises a lot of questions. If the dwarves already had a sacred underground vault, why is no one guarding it? Why is it modeled in such detail with lava and vaults and rooms but completely unused? Most players know Karazhan as the haunted Tower of Medivh. In Classic, it's sealed. But if you go through the ruined graveyard of Morgan's plot, you'll find a locked gate. That's the entrance to the Karazhan crypt. In vanilla, you couldn't open the gate, but inside the game files, there's a full dungeon under the tower. Players who managed to glitch through the door found the following: the upside-down sinners, but we'll get to that later. There is Pauper's Walk, a stone tunnel with countless tombs, the Slough of Despair, a pit filled with bones, and the Well of the Forgotten, a deep shaft too dark to see the bottom. There are no mobs, just disturbing ambient sounds. Some players report hearing whispers, a heartbeat, or distant screams. According to dev interviews, this area was designed for a 5-man dungeon, but Blizzard abandoned it due to the dark tone. They feared it would push the game beyond a teen rating. So instead of removing it, they just left it behind. To this day, it sits under Karazhan, a full underground crypt, a forgotten dungeon, a horror story without a story. By the way, in Season of Discovery, it actually became a dungeon. However, Blizzard altered the dungeon's design. Deep in the forgotten corners of Dun Morogh, past the snowy cliffs and through the great sea's fatigue waters, lies a dock, one shack, one rowboat, one empty pier. Welcome to Newman's Landing, the loneliest place in Azeroth. There's no road here, no nearby town or NPCs, and certainly no quests, just a signpost that says Newman's Landing. Some barrels, crates, and an old still for brewing. And let's not forget piles of bones scattered around the building. Some players believe this was a developer test area, a placeholder spawn point for new characters. That's where the name comes from, Newman's Landing. As in, you just logged in and world here before being placed somewhere else. In very early vanilla builds, you could occasionally see level 1 characters flash in and disappear, a bizarre visual glitch that fed the theory. But it's more than that. This place is mapped. It has sound, lighting, and physics. The shack has full collision. The dock creaks under your feet, and the boat rocks gently in the surf. If it were just a dev test zone, why is it built so well? Why is it named? Why are there bones? So many unanswered questions. Anyway, it's unsettling, abandoned, and purposefully placed. And yet no one, in-game or out, can give a proper reason for it being there. Newman's Landing is the kind of place you find at 3 a.m. and regret staying too long. Goldshire is supposed to be the most peaceful place in the world, but sometimes, when the server clock hits 7 a.m., something strange happens. 6 children spawn and slowly start to walk in formation. They move in a perfect pentagram pattern through the forest and eventually enter a house just outside Goldshire. Once inside, they climb the stairs to the top floor and stand completely still. At some point, that's when the sounds start. You'll hear a banshee scream, Cthulhu whispering, "You will die," moaning, wailing, and the roar of a dragon. There are no quests tied to them, no explanation in lore. They despawn at 8 a.m. Nobody in town comments on them. But the house? It's real. The sounds? They're real. And the kids? They show up every single day. Theories have swirled for years. Some think they're a reference to Children of the Corn. Others believe it's tied to the old gods. So, if you want a deep dive into this horror story, I have a video about the Goldshire kids. It covers the speculation, the timing, and the community theories that tried and failed to make sense of them. Because really, how do you explain children performing a dark ritual next to a beginner town? Yes, we already talked about the Karazhan crypt, but the entire dungeon deserves mention, and one part deserves its own spotlight. The upside-down Sinner's Room. It's a flooded pit. You swim down, and hanging from the ceiling are naked corpses, bound by chains, swaying slowly underwater. This room is rendered with extreme detail. The physics are real. The lighting is custom. The bodies hang just out of reach, and it's completely unused. Blizzard cut this dungeon from vanilla before launch. According to developer comments, it was too dark for the game's tone, and they were worried about the game's rating. So they sealed the doors and left the crypt buried. But it's still there. And this room? It feels like it was made for another game. Not WoW, not this colorful cartoon world. This is something out of a nightmare. And if you manage to find your way in, you'll understand why this is the #1 place in classic WoW that should never have existed. So next time you're swimming with corpses or watching children summon Cthulhu from the attic, or stumbling onto a dock full of bones and no answers, just remember, you could have been watching another Roblox video, but you're here, you like it weird, so like and subscribe before Blizzard decides these places were a mistake and deletes them all.